You are listening to Elisha Space Podcast. Our guest today is Peggy Roache, who is the owner and founder of the Wellness Scoop. She is a wellness coach who provides nutritional and exercise coaching to clients. Peggy shares how certain foods can affect mood, along with suggestions of alternative diet options. Join us as we discuss how diet can affect mood disorders.
Hello, audience of Elisha Space. I am so excited that you all have joined today. I have the absolute pleasure of having Peggy from the Wellness Scoop come by today. Peggy Roache, I want to thank you for coming by. She is a nutritionist, and she and I are very, very similar in mindset. As a matter of fact, like not less than 10 seconds ago, we were just talking about how if you deal with one thing in one area, you'll see improvement in other areas too, because everything's interconnected. And that's truly what I believe. Science proves it too, but that's truly what I believe. So, Peggy, welcome. And we thank you for joining us at Elisha Space today.
Oh, thank you, Elisha. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be here.
Well, that's good. That's good. So, can you tell the audience a little bit about you, how you started your business? What's your journey?
Sure. So I actually was in the travel industry for 25 years because I
Wow.
love to travel.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, if I work for a travel company, I can travel less expensively, I should say. And I loved that. During that time, about 17 years into the travel industry, I met my husband. I was 41 years old. He was 42. We got married a year later. I was 42. He was almost 43. And we wanted to have children. And so, the old biological time clock was ticking loudly. And we just started on that journey. And my doctor, my OBGYN, recommended a fertility specialist. I went to her and they wanted to start because of my age. I kept saying, just because of your age, they
Don't you
wanted
love
to
it when the
start.
people say that? But go
I
ahead.
know. I know. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm old. But because of my age, they wanted to start with the most aggressive treatment, which in the fertility space is in vitro fertilization, IVF.
Mhm.
And so we agreed. But they have to do all the tests first. And my husband was tested fine. They did some tests on me, and she told us that our odds of getting pregnant were 0 to 5% using IVF.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But they were willing to go ahead with it anyway if we were. Meanwhile, this process took a few months, and I was like, I just need to get healthier. If I'm healthier, I'll slow the aging process. If I slow the aging process, I'll increase my fertility, right?
Right.
And I had taken one step in that direction because I hadn't really researched anything at that point. And that step was to give up drinking Diet Coke. I
Oh,
used to drink a big, giant Diet Coke every day for lunch. I was addicted to it, basically. And so we were scheduled to start the injections you have to have after my next cycle. And I got pregnant. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you this part because this is key. When she told us that our odds of getting pregnant with IVF were 0 to 5%, I kind of jokingly said, oh, so our odds of getting pregnant naturally are what, negative 50%?
mhm.
There's like no such thing. But she nodded, basically
Wow.
saying, there's no way you'll get pregnant on your own.
Mhm.
And so I gave up Diet Coke. And a month before we were supposed to start the in vitro process, I got pregnant naturally. And
Yay.
I know, it was like,
Congratulations.
this is what was not supposed to happen, right?
Right.
And so it was pretty exciting. And then unfortunately, 10 weeks later, I miscarried.
I'm so
Or I
sorry.
miscarried at 10 weeks. And it was very sad. But when I got over the sad part, but
Mhm.
you don't really ever get over, but when I got over for enough to think about it, I realized that she was saying, given odds based on their statistics, their numbers that they gather of people they treat and stuff. And
Mhm.
I was like, I'm not a statistic and I'm pretty healthy. And all I did was give up Diet Coke. And if I do more, maybe if I do more, the next time we'll get pregnant and it'll work. And so we were still continuing with them anyway.
Right.
But long story short, I got pregnant a second time naturally. So I did twice what they said had no chance of happening. And it just started me on my journey of wow, the human body's amazing. And the better we treat it, the better it treats us. And I just became fascinated in that time and continuing today. I'm still fascinated with what we can do, with what our body does and its amazing capabilities to heal. So the second pregnancy also miscarried a little bit earlier, just to finish out that story, which doesn't have anything to do with necessarily what we're talking about, except it's how I got there. Then I went through menopause. And so it was that ship sailed, and we ended up adopting our daughter several years later.
Okay.
And we have a 26-year-old daughter that we adopted from Russia when she was 11. That was a whole nother journey, which
I'm
was
sure.
great, but she was wonderful. She is wonderful. So I just started reading everything I could, talking with people, meeting people, learning, taking seminars, trying to learn everything I could and just educate myself
Mhm.
on health and human. And I realized that this is something that I want to explore. Also, in the meantime, I stumbled on Pilates. I'm a certified Pilates instructor. And I loved that because I've always loved fitness. And I got certified in that and just kept going. I discovered my nutritional supplement company that I represent. And I got certified to be a weight loss coach and a certified nutrition advisor. And because I just can't stop learning about it, it's too interesting. The thing that struck me was, like I said to the doctor early on, I always thought I was pretty healthy.
Mhm.
Like I tried to be healthy. And I said, I thought that would help me get pregnant, even though I was older. And she said, it'll help you once you're pregnant, but getting pregnant is another thing once you're older. So that was fine. But I just realized that there's so many things I didn't understand about health
Right.
that I can't be the only one. And I just wanted to share it. I want to share this information. And I turns out after now 20 some years, it's true. I teach people things and they're like that they didn't know. And some of them are so simple, but we just don't, I don't know where that education would come from. Otherwise, that's certainly the little bit of health ed in school isn't enough. I don't know, in the public
Well,
schools.
I also recognize too that the way our body and our minds are is interconnected. It's not categorical. And so a lot of times we think in categories or like
Yeah,
boxes, but that's not our body. So what affects you in one place is going to affect you in another place. You
that's
know,
right.
it's going to affect you in another place. And so
Mhm.
what I found is that the better you treat yourself, like the more you show self-care or love for yourself, the more you experience and have even going out for a little walk in your neighborhood. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? That
Yeah.
can like totally make a big difference to your mood for at least for a good portion of the day. You know what
Oh
I'm
my gosh,
saying?
totally. Hmm.
So it's not like big changes that are required, but everything is interconnected. You know, that's why I think when it's rainy or gloomy outside, it affects mood
Right.
because
Right.
everything is interconnected. So that
Right.
leads me to my other question that I have for you when it comes to food, because since everything is interconnected, I do recognize and realize that it also affects mood. Like food can affect mood. So,
Right.
what are some foods you could suggest or not suggest that
Mhm.
we could consume so that we can have, a more brighter day?
Yeah. Well, so it's simple and it's not.
Right.
It's you want to like to just to sum it up, you want to have what they call complex carbohydrates, which are basically your vegetables like sweet potatoes and cruciferous vegetables, oats, beans, legumes, quinoa, which by the way, some people scrunch their nose up at, but there's several. I have some really good quinoa recipes.
There are,
uh,
there are. Go ahead.
and the complex carbohydrates they increase the availability of serotonin in your brain, which is, as some of us know, is the feel good chemical hormone in your brain. Good proteins like fish and lean beef, chicken, tofu, eggs, unsweetened yogurt, they are linked to higher levels of dopamine and I can never say this word, norepinephrine, which are also chemicals in the brain that have a role in your mood and your motivation and your concentration. And then fruits and vegetables in general that are high in minerals and vitamins and antioxidants that just nourish your body and your body's cells have been shown to just boost happiness. So a lot of people have heard about the Mediterranean diet. And
Right.
that's what I just described is basically the Mediterranean diet. It gets a lot of attention because it has been shown to decrease symptoms of depression. And their diet is lots of fresh vegetables and fruit, and nuts, and seeds and legumes, and a lot of omega-3 that has those omega-3 essential fatty acids in it, olive oil. The reason that it's so good for you, one of the reasons, there's many, but one of the reasons is they contain something called polyphenols that are naturally found in plants and like fruits and vegetables, also in herbs and spices. And you hear about dark chocolate and wine, that's the polyphenols in it. And there's like 8,000 different kinds of them, but they have been linked to improvements in mood and anxiety as well. And I just want to put in a plug here too for the omega-3s, because I think that's something that gets overlooked. A lot of people don't like fish. Consumption of fish is down. In general, when I talk to my clients, some people don't eat it at all, or they eat it once a month or whatever. But there's so much science behind everything I'm saying. I'm not making this up. Everything I'm saying is science, a lot of science, but there's a lot of research on the omega-3 fatty acids. And you probably knew this. When I was looking up a couple things to prepare, and I maybe heard it but forgot, depression is the leading cause of disability worldwide.
Yes,
I didn't know that. Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, they are looking for new approaches to the things that there's a lot of forms of therapy, as you probably know, and you're treating people with depression. But for about a third of the patients, the antidepressants don't give a positive response. So they're looking for things. And there's a lot. So that's why there's been doing a lot of research, because the information on supplementing with fish oil or just adding fish and omega-3s to your diet, it's not just fish, but that's one of the best ways to get it, are really being investigated. And they've been shown to support brain and neural development. They can be found in the structure of the brain cell membranes. And there's just so many benefits to it. So I would encourage people to give it a try if they don't eat a lot of fish, to supplement. And if they like fish and haven't been eating a lot, to go ahead and add it back into the diet,
So let's say I was going to fix myself something for dinner. What are some suggestions you would have to help me improve my mood?
Okay. So I'll stick with the fish for a minute, and then like that glass of wine. Believe me. Well, they say the red wine, and that's true. I mean, the red wine has those polyphenols in it, and so a glass can relax you and help you, but it's not going to be enough. We have to do a variety.
Right. Yes, I'm not promoting large consumption of wine.
I know, right? I know you're not. But I'm all about ease, because I, for one, don't like to cook. When I started this journey 25 years ago, 6 years ago, it was like, okay, got to start cooking more, because that's one of the best ways to be healthier, because you don't necessarily know what's in restaurant food or carry out food.
Exactly. But
so
something too, though, it doesn't take much to make fish, though.
That's what I was just going to say. That's what I was just going to say. So it took a while before I started amassing sort of a repertoire of recipes and menu plans that I could then just make. But I had 3 criteria. It had to be easy. It had to be healthy, according to my definition, which is, not just my definition. And it had to be delicious. Right. So one of my favorite, easiest meals is baked salmon. And I'll talk about that in a second. And then a fresh vegetable. I just steam fresh broccoli or roasted zucchini and squash. I'm thinking of things easy right now to go with what I say. And I always do 2 vegetables. I do one fresh vegetable, like I'll do a fresh broccoli, and then one frozen vegetable. They have organic frozen vegetables that are great. And you put it in a steamer and you drizzle it with olive oil and some herbs. It's delicious.
That sounds delicious.
So the frozen vegetable might be what I call succotash. It's a mixture of corn and green beans and peas and carrots, or just green beans. They call it haricot vert in French, the French style green beans. And the salmon or the fish. Now I say salmon because that's high in omega fatty acids. A lot of fish that are high in omega fatty acids. I was afraid of it at first, but once you get used to cooking fish, it's so easy. It's just so easy. You can do whatever you want to it. You can drizzle a lot of olive oil, but although salmon doesn't really need that, squirt some lemon on it and then sprinkle it with your favorite herbs. You can just do salt and pepper. Or my husband always does salt, pepper, garlic powder, and onion powder. I do, since we're in Maryland, I sprinkle it with Old Bay. God, I love Old Bay.
You gotta have Old Bay. So,
sprinkle a salmon with Old Bay, pop it in the oven. It's done in 17 minutes, 400 degrees.
Yes.
So that's one of my favorites, because it's easy and I know it's really healthy. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I have found that a lot of clients that I've worked with in the past, they have heavy carbs.
Mm-hmm.
There's some sort of a sugar addiction, some sort of
Right.
a caffeine addiction, and I'm trying to think what else. Heavy carbs, caffeine, sugar.
Soda. I mean, that's sugar, but like sodas and
Yeah, but those kinds of sugary and
drinks.
salt, high salt.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
And
so,
oh, and the lattes that they get at the places like Starbucks.
right.
And I don't like coffee, so that that's I understand people love coffee. You got to have your coffee, whatever. Have a cup of coffee, but the lattes, the grande mocha, la la la, with what butterscotch, I don't know, caramel. They put
Mhm.
so much extra stuff in it that you've added like 10 tablespoons of sugar to it. So you got to be careful there too. That can sneak up on you. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That so on this what not to do side of foods, it's flour based foods
Okay.
because flour has been most wheat flour, even if it says whole wheat flour, it's still flour. It's taken the wheat and ground into a powder and taken all the bran and all the healthy stuff out.
Mhm,
So flour based foods are breads and pastas and crackers and baked goods.
mhm.
Not only people don't understand this, I didn't understand it, so I'm not, it's just the stuff we have to learn, are is bad for you if you have pasta, for example, and not anything else. It's what I teach, eating to control your blood sugar.
Right.
And everyone
Very
knows you
true.
eat something sugary, that's going to increase your blood sugar. But if you eat something that's could be zero sugar on the nutrition label, like pasta,
Mhm.
but it's going to spike your blood sugar as if it was sugar.
Right.
White rice, same thing. In fact, white rice is worse than sugar in terms of how much it increases the blood sugar in the glucose in your bloodstream. And
Wow.
I could go on about why that's bad, but I'll save that. But it's those are kind of things that are going to drain your energy
Mm,
and drain you mentally, and just quickly they're going to leave you. They tend to give you a quick boost of energy because of the spike in the blood sugar. But then what happens is your body doesn't like that high blood sugar, so it's going to release insulin very quickly, and then so very quickly your sugar is going to go way down. It's going to be too low,
okay.
and so then you're going to be dragging, and maybe that can also affect your mood. So
So I used the word there, addiction, because you can have a sugar addiction. You can
right,
have a caffeine addiction. You had even mentioned you were addicted to Diet Coke.
right.
So, what are some practical tips you could share with someone who's maybe trying to change their diet? But it's very common, like if you have problems with sugar
Mm-hmm.
or caffeine, I'll say caffeine, that if you decide to cut it off, people have problems with migraines, right?
Right.
So, what are some suggestions you have, nutritionally, of course, to assist them with weaning off of the caffeine or weaning off of those things and making the more healthier choices that you suggested?
Right. So first thing I always tell people, and I almost thought of naming my business this based on my origin story that I told you earlier, is to take baby steps.
Right.
And I was motivated at, you want to look at your motivations as well, but if thinking past beyond how you feel now and how you want to feel and visualize yourself feeling that way already. But then start with something small. I usually coach my clients with, after I've talked to them, to figure out where their biggest need is or lack is. I'll start with this one little step. And it could be increasing the amount of water. We need water. The brain needs water. So, our body's a huge percentage of water. And so to do all of the amazing things that the body does, we need water. And
Right.
most people I coach don't drink enough water. You should drink half your body weight in ounces of water every day. But maybe you have to build up to that if you're hardly drinking any. So you set small goals and try to implement one or two at a time until that feels like habit.
Okay.
And I also suggest finding a sort of an accountability buddy. I call an empowerment buddy, who may be wanting to do something similar at the same time. You can check in. That always helps.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
as far as nutritionally, and the water is one thing. Just drinking more water will help. I'll just give you an example. So one of the weight loss groups I was coaching years ago, a woman in it, when I coach people with weight loss, oftentimes I'm going to do this, but just don't make me give up X or Y or Z. There's something that they are afraid of letting go of.
Right.
And for her, it was Diet Coke, ironically. And I said, okay, we won't start there. Don't start there. You know what I mean? But I'm also teaching them you have to drink half your body weight in ounces of water every day. And you have to eat every few hours something to keep your blood sugar even. So she was doing all this, and she came back to me a couple weeks later and said she hadn't had any Diet Coke in 2 weeks. I'm like, well, I told you didn't have to give it up. And she said, I know, but she was so busy drinking water and eating the right foods and stuff that she didn't have the room in her stomach to drink Diet Coke.
And I was
So
going to mention that because I believe there is a tie between dehydration and salt, or dehydration and sugar. Maybe it's both of them. So the more dehydrated you are, I had heard, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I had heard the more you crave those things, but really your body's craving water.
that's absolutely right.
Okay.
That is absolutely right. Yeah. Sometimes we think we're hungry. Not even, it was just like, I'm hungry, but I don't know what I want to eat. And it's just drink a big glass of water and that might go away because your body's craving water and it's the brain signaling you in some way, hey, something's missing here. And on that note too, that just to answer your other question, your original question is, and I do represent a high quality supplement company. In fact, they've been rated number one out of like 1,600 supplements. And taking a good quality multivitamin will help with what you were describing a minute ago. People try to quit their caffeine or they give up sugar or whatever, and they start getting headaches or they start feeling, there's a detox process that's going to go on. And so your body's going to release extra free radicals. These are things that damage your cells. And antioxidants in a good quality multivitamin will fight that, will squelch those, so that some of those detoxing effects will, some people, they don't notice them at all, or they're greatly reduced in time and the amount of time it takes to go away. And it also does a lot of other things that I won't go into, but it's just it's a good thing to do anyway. And there's a whole nother thing I could talk about another time about why even with the healthiest of diets, even if you do eat healthy, you still need to take a good quality multivitamin. And in most cases, fish oil, because we can't get everything we need from our food today. We need more and we get less out of our food, the nutrients.
Wow.
So
I didn't know that. I had heard that fish oil was good for eyes, but I didn't
yes,
realize that we needed to have fish oil. Add that to your multivitamin. I didn't recognize that.
yeah, it's so important. Fish oil is good for, and let's just say omega-3 fatty acids, but it's good for your eyes, your skin. So if people want to use that as their motivation, if they have a motivation to
Like
look better,
eczema
excuse me.
or things like that go into it.
Yep, it's already there. But more importantly, it's critical to your brain health and heart health. There's a study that showed, and I know we're not talking about heart health, but that can affect someone's mood too.
Most definitely.
That cholesterol lowering drugs they did a study comparing fish oil to cholesterol lowering drugs. Cholesterol lowering drugs were better at lowering cholesterol than fish oil. But fish oil by a lot was better at reducing the amount of deaths from heart disease than cholesterol lowering drugs.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Amazing. Yes.
So what's the whole point of cholesterol lowering drugs, And that's another topic too. High cholesterol is not the problem. It's oxidated cholesterol. And that's a whole nother story. But they're giving people these drugs to lower their cholesterol because their theory is if you lower your cholesterol, you won't have a heart attack. But fish oil did better at that, and half the people who die of heart attacks have normal cholesterol. So there's a whole big thing there. I could go on for that, but I don't think that's what we're talking about today. But just, there's things like that I love making people aware of.
We'll have other episodes. We just spoke a little bit ago about collaborating on other things. So we'll have other things, but you'll be able to share this information because I think it's so vital. Audience, basically what she's saying is if you slightly change your diet, maybe add more water to your diet, maybe instead of having a dinner roll, add a vegetable. You see, and not just a potato, like maybe something like a mixed vegetable or a green bean
or salad,
and how that can affect mood. And then also too, when she talked about legumes, that's a bean. So and beans are very filling. So if you add maybe, and a lot of people don't like beans, I understand that, but there's different ways you can cook it too, like with the fish. I a lot of times tend to marinate my fish. So it brings out the flavor more with different marinades that you use. So if you've got a busy day, you can do a little marinade on your fish. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, like what Peggy had mentioned. Put it in your fridge and let it marinate. And then when you get it off work, you can just stick it in the oven or do
Right.
whatever you need to do, to dress it up. And then either you could put it in the frying pan or you can put it in the oven or whatever you use, maybe your air fryer, I don't know. But
Hmm.
when you put it in there, it's going to give you a very nice taste. And it only takes, like, if you broil it, it only takes like 10 minutes to cook,
Yeah.
you know?
Different fishes take the different amount of time because if it's the thicker it is, the longer it takes to cook. And I found for our oven, the perfect temperature for a salmon is 400 degrees for 17 minutes. But
Right.
you're right. Some fish don't take anywhere near that long. You have a
Well,
thinner piece of
17
fish.
minutes, I think, is quick too. You're
Yeah.
talking about you get off work at maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, you're tired, you
Right.
drove through rush hour traffic. The temptation is to call takeout and you could
That's
have
right.
dinner ready in 20 minutes,
Right. That's right.
you
Yeah.
know?
So true. Yeah. And I wanted to say one more thing about the water because you mentioned migraines.
Yeah,
Um, Sometimes headaches are also a sign of dehydration. And
very true.
I had a coworker in my former job. I had been bugging her about drinking more water. And then one day she was like, I have such a headache. And I said, Joanne, go drink some more water.
Mhm.
Go right now. And so she did. And she came back and said, oh my God, I feel better. I said, drink another glass because you're
Mhm.
probably, and that was all it was. So water can solve, I'm telling you, water, free, cheap. And some people say, I don't like the taste of water. That's fine. Doesn't have a
And
taste to me.
stick a little flavor in it then,
Yeah,
put a
squeeze a
little bit
lemon
of
in it.
lemon
Squeeze
juice.
a piece
Yeah,
of lemon in it,
yeah,
or a piece of orange.
yeah.
Yeah, then you get some extra stuff in there too. That's good for you. But seriously, constipation, that's often a sign of dehydration.
I'll even
So
say this, ear ringing.
yeah.
I went to the emergency room a few years ago. I was having a big problem with my ears.
Hmm.
And I went to the emergency room and I was so scared because I didn't know what was going on. And they said I was dehydrated.
Really? Well, see,
Hmm.
now that's something I didn't know. Add that to my list of benefits of water.
They gave me an IV to get my body hydrated
Okay.
again, and the ear ringing went away. They didn't give me any medication. It was fluids.
See, yeah, that's it. Muscle spasms are another one.
Yes. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Charlie horses, if you get Charlie horses from exercising and
yep,
things like that.
yep.
See,
So
we could go on for days.
where's that to go?
Yes. Yes. So tell me, what are some of your favorite resources that you tap into?
Yeah, so it's so funny. I do some of this just so automatically. I had to give it some thought, but I was thinking about your audience. Thought, well, one thing that I use with my coaching clients is my
Mhm.
fitnesspal.com, or it's also an app.
Yeah, I love my
If
Fitness Pal. It's really
Yeah,
good.
it syncs with all the Fitbits and those kind of
Mhm.
trackers now, and you can use it for tracking your physical exercise, but you can use it for tracking your food.
Right.
And there's studies on that too, as well, for again people trying to lose weight. But anything, if you just want to track, it'll track different. Like you get up to 6 categories of things you can track, like sugar, fat, protein grams, calories, carbs, all these things. But there's other things you can track, maybe like iron. You can switch it out. Maybe you're depleted in iron and you want to track how much iron you're getting from your food. So there's all kinds of choices that you can customize. And there's a lot of information on it as well. And then when I coach people, if they want to track, it's optional, but if they want to track, I can review their food journal and help
Mhm.
them tweak it.
Right, and
And then
I'll
I
say
also,
this too, maybe they don't have time to, like, list their foods. You could take
right,
a picture of your food plate.
right. That's a great tip. Well,
Mhm.
and then MyFitnessPal's gotten more and more sophisticated now.
Yes.
If it's a packaged food, you can scan the QR code or the UPC code, and it'll
Yep.
put all the information in there. Or if it's something you eat regularly, you put it in once, and then you can just select it each time. So they've got a lot of shortcuts in there.
Mhm. Mm.
Anyway, so that's a good one. And then I tell my clients to go to nutritiondata.com,
Okay.
which also, if you just want to, this is for people who want to know, well, how much omega-3 fatty acids are in walnuts. Walnuts, by the way, another source of omega-3s. There's different kinds of omega-3s. So the plant-based ones are, can't remember the long scientific word for it, but it's ALA instead of EPA and DHA. And the ALAs are from the plant-based things, but they're still good for you. And
Mhm.
they're converted to the other kind that's in the fish in your
Mhm.
body, assuming everything else is doing good. So got sidetracked there for a minute. But so let's say someone wants to know, how much fatty acids are in walnuts. You can look it up on nutritiondata.com, and a lot of good information there too. So that's just information. Now for research, for people who are research nerds like me,
Yeah. Yeah. Me.
PubMed, you too, yeah,
Mhm.
from the National Institute of Health, PubMed. is a reliable source of scientific studies, their own and others, and all kinds of great information there. And I'm just going to put a plug for USANA is the name of the supplement company I represent.
Hmm.
And one of the reasons I like them is because they have a team of over 100 scientists. I think they're up to 140 now that are constantly doing their own research and reviewing the other scientific studies that are out there. And so they can update their products whenever there's new information
Hmm.
that's critical. And they do that. But they have a website that anyone can access called askthescientists.com. And there's articles they've written, but you can also put in a search bar and just ask about different information, or you can just ask the scientist a question.
That's cool.
So it's
Hmm.
really cool. And they'll get back to you in 24 hours. So that's one I use a lot. And then I have a lot of them. There's one I'm going to start using because I knew about this organization, but I don't know, something made me click on it yesterday. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got to do this. The Institute for Functional Medicine. So it's ifm.org is a organization. Functional medicine is the medicine there where they determine how and why an illness occurs, and they're trying to restore people's health by addressing the root causes of the disease for each individual.
Hmm.
So it's a moving away from the standard medical model of finding a symptom and treating the symptom versus finding the root cause. And it's often multiple, as you and I have been talking about, multiple, one thing affects the other. So you
Right.
have to treat a lot of things. But anyway, it's pretty cool. And they've got a really great amount of information in there too. So those are just some of them. I don't know. I have others.
I think that those are great resources. Thank you so much for sharing that. Those are great
You're welcome.
resources. And I'm sure the audience will appreciate these resources too, as well as this company that you're talking about as well.
Right.
So, Peggy, do you have any upcoming projects coming up that you'd like to share with the audience?
Yes, thank you. I do what is called a 7-day jumpstart program, and we'll be launching one of those in January 21st to the 28th to be exact.
Okay.
And we offer free introductory sessions prior to that, so in early January, so people can just hear what it's about and decide if they want to be part of it. And it's a great program. Each day we take 30 minutes on a Zoom to talk about a different topic, many of the things we've touched on today related to health and nutrition. So they're learning, because I feel like educating people is part of the process. If you know something is good for you, once you learn it's good for you or learn it's bad for you, it gives you a little more motivation. Anyway, and so we go through different topics. I have different guest speakers. Maybe you could be a guest speaker for me one time on one
That
of
would
these
be
programs.
awesome. I'd love to do that.
And we have a bonus day 8. I do a little celebration and dance party. But the goal of it is whatever an individual person's goal is related to health and nutrition. A lot of people jump on, especially in January, for weight loss.
Hmm.
But many people just want to reset their diet. They want to learn how to eat better. They want, because I do recipes, we have a private Facebook group, all kinds of things. They want to have more energy. They
Hmm.
want to improve their mood. They want to
Right.
stop having mood swings, things like that. There's all kinds of reasons people do it. And so part of the program, if you decide to do it, is a free 30-minute consultation with me to figure out exactly what the program's going to be for that person. And so I'm excited about that, and I'll have more information coming soon.
Okay, fantastic. That's exciting. That's exciting. And January is perfect because that's the time when people are thinking about how to have a better 2023.
Setting their
So,
goals.
yep. So, how can people contact you if they want more information?
Well, I'm on Facebook and Instagram, Peggy Roache. Well, Instagram, I'm at Peggy Roache, and Facebook, I'm facebook.com/the wellness scoop.
Hmm.
And that's like a scoop of ice cream, ironically. Ice cream's not
Yes.
really good for you, but the story behind that too. And my website is where they could sign up for a free initial consult. And it's the wellness scoop dot, and it's after the dot's a little unusual, AS as in Apple Sam dot me as in you and me. And, or they can always email me, Peggy at thewellnessscoop.com. It's a long one, but that's how they could reach me.
Well, Peggy, thank you so much for joining us today. I am so thankful that you shared this wealth of information. There is a tie to food consumption and mental health. And it's
Yes.
so important to make changes. And like Peggy was saying, it's very easy because there's so much out there that's not healthy for us. You almost have
Right.
to make the small steps in order to make the changes. So, audience, I hope this information has encouraged you it's been valuable to you, where you can make some changes to your diet. And Peggy is available. She's taking new clients as well if you'd like to contact her. She meets
Yes.
people virtually as well as in person, and she will help you with your goals and will itemize things so that it's meaningful for you. So I encourage you all to just to kind of take in the information, assess it, and see how it can assist and support you as you go through your healing journey. Thank you, and we'll talk with you another time.
Thanks, Elisha.
Thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to Elisha's Space, where we discuss issues of mental health and faith. Like our shows? Subscribe so you can be in the know of upcoming episodes. Now go, move forward in your healing journey.